Welcome back to Justice Served Tales, where real families break your heart and sometimes, they finally get what they deserve. Today I'm telling you the story of how my own father looked my 18-year-old twins in the eye at their high school graduation, and told me he was cutting them out of a $1.2 million trust fund because they weren't real family. What he didn't know. My mother, who passed away 3 years ago, left me a DNA kit from beyond the grave. And that test exposed a 40-year-old secret that proved my twins were his blood all along. This is a true story. Let's get into it. My name is Megan Carter. I'm 39 years old, and I'm a pediatric nurse from Columbus, Ohio. I've been raising my adopted twins, Lily and Ethan, by myself for the last 6 years. My daughter Lily was halfway across the stage at Upper Arlington High School in Columbus, Ohio, her cap tassel swinging, when my dad leaned over and whispered the words that would blow up our entire family. After this, we need to talk about the will. I'm taking the twins out. I didn't hear him at first. The auditorium was too loud, the band was playing Pomp and Circumstance, and my son Ethan was squeezing my hand so hard I thought he'd break it. He was next. My twins, my adopted twins, were graduating summa cum laude, both of them, and I was trying not to cry on the livestream for my mom, who'd passed 3 years ago. What? I whispered back. Richard Whitaker, my dad, 71 years old, owner of Whitaker Commercial Properties in Dayton, worth about $4.7 million on paper, didn't look at me. He kept clapping, that polite, tight clap he uses at board meetings. The trust. I'm restructuring it. Caleb should get the education fund. Blood should stay with blood, Megan. You understand. I didn't understand. I couldn't understand, because at that exact moment, they called Ethan Carter, my son, my legal son for 18 years, and he walked across that stage to get the diploma my dad had just decided he didn't deserve to pay for. My name is Megan Carter. I'm 39. I live in a 3-bedroom colonial in Dublin, Ohio, that I bought myself after my divorce from David 6 years ago. I work as a pediatric nurse at Nationwide Children's Hospital. And 18 years ago, after 3 rounds of chemo for Hodgkin's lymphoma at age 21 left me infertile, I adopted newborn twins from a young mother in Cleveland who couldn't keep them. Lily and Ethan have never known another mother. They have my laugh. Ethan has my terrible sense of direction. Lily has my mom Diane's obsession with organizing spice racks. They are my kids in every way that matters, except, apparently, to my father. The graduation party was at my dad's house in Indian Hill outside Cincinnati, the big brick colonial he bought in 1988 when his commercial real estate business took off. The same house I grew up in. White columns, a pool in the back, the kitchen my mom remodeled in 2015 right before the cancer came back. Caleb was there, my younger brother, 34, golden child, works in dad's company, has 2 biological kids with his wife Jenna. He'd brought a huge gift bag from Tiffany's for Lily and Ethan. I remember thinking that was weird, because Caleb never spends that kind of money. Dad stood up after dinner, tapped his wine glass. Everyone went quiet. Lily and Ethan were sitting on the couch in their graduation gowns, still wearing them because Lily said she didn't want the day to end. I want to say something, Dad started. He does this voice when he's about to make an announcement. It's his landlord voice. Diane and I always believed in family legacy, in taking care of our own. He looked at me, then at Caleb, then, briefly, at the twins. So I've met with Henderson, our attorney, and we're updating the family trust. Given the way things are, with college costs what they are, I've decided to consolidate the education fund. Caleb's kids, Madison and Tyler, will be the beneficiaries. It's cleaner that way. Simpler. The room went silent. Not quiet. Silent. Like someone had sucked the air out. Lily's smile froze. Ethan looked down at his hands. Caleb stared at his plate. What do you mean, Dad? I asked. My voice sounded strange, far away. I mean what I said, Megan. The Whitaker Education Trust was set up for grandchildren. For blood grandchildren. You made a different choice, and I respect that, but I have to think about the legacy. You made a different choice. Like I'd chosen cancer at 21. Like I'd chosen to have my ovaries fail after chemo. Like I'd chosen to spend 2 years on an adoption waiting list, driving to Cleveland every month for home visits, crying in my car after every failed match. Until we got the call about Lily and Ethan. Lily stood up. She's 18, but she's always been the adult in the room. Grandpa, it's okay. We have scholarships. OSU gave us both. It's not about the money, Lily, Dad interrupted. He actually used her name, which made it worse. It's about principle. Ethan didn't say anything. He just got up and walked outside to the pool. I found him 10 minutes later sitting on the diving board, his gown pulled around him. Mom, are we not really his grandkids? He asked. I sat down next to him. The pool lights were on, making the water glow blue. You are. Legally, emotionally, in every way that counts. But not in his way. I didn't have an answer for that. That night, after everyone left, Dad asked me to stay. Caleb and Jenna left quickly, taking their kids. Caleb wouldn't meet my eyes. Dad poured 2 glasses of bourbon, Woodford Reserve, his favorite, and handed me one in his study. The walls are covered in photos. My high school graduation. Caleb's wedding. Caleb's kids' baby photos. There are 2 photos of Lily and Ethan, both from when they were babies. Nothing recent. Henderson, the family attorney, was sitting in the leather chair. He's been Dad's lawyer for 30 years. He looked uncomfortable. Megan, Henderson started, sliding a folder across the desk. Your father asked me to prepare an amendment. He's removing Lily and Ethan as contingent beneficiaries from the main trust, and specifically excluding them from the education subtrust, which currently holds approximately $1.2 million. I opened the folder. It was all legalese, but the highlighted parts were clear. The grantor wishes to limit beneficiaries to lineal biological descendants. You're disinheriting my kids, I said. It wasn't a question. I'm protecting the family business, Dad said. Caleb works in the business. His kids will work in the business. It's not personal, Meg. Not personal. He was cutting my children, the children he watched take their first steps in this house. The children he taught to swim in that pool. The children who called him Papa until they were about 12 and realized he never called them back. Out of a trust my mother had helped set up specifically for all our grandchildren's education. My mother, Diane, who had held my hand through every adoption home visit. Who had knitted 2 identical baby blankets, one pink, one blue. Who, on her deathbed 3 years ago, made me promise to take care of those babies, no matter what your father says. I stood up. Mom would be ashamed of you. Dad's face hardened. Your mother understood legacy. My mother understood love, I shot back. There's a difference. I left the folder on his desk. I drove the 2 hours back to Columbus in silence, Lily and Ethan asleep in the back seat. When we got home, I tucked them in. Yes, at 18. I still tucked them in on hard nights, and then I went into my closet and cried until I couldn't breathe. The next morning, I called Henderson's office. I needed to understand what this actually meant. Megan, legally he can do it, Henderson said, sounding tired. Ohio law gives a grantor broad discretion. Unless you can prove undue influence or lack of capacity, which you can't. He's sharp as ever. What about Mom's intent? She wanted your mother passed before the trust was fully funded. The language is your father's. I'm sorry. I hung up and stared at my kitchen wall, where Lily and Ethan's kindergarten handprints are framed. I thought about the $1.2 million. It wasn't about the money, they had scholarships, they'd be fine. It was about the message. You are not enough. You are not real. You are not family. Ethan came downstairs. He'd heard me on the phone. "Mom, it's fine. We don't need his money. It's not about the money, baby." "I know," he said. "It's about him choosing Caleb." Again. Again. That was the word that broke me. Because he was right. When I got sick at 21, Dad told me to focus on getting better, not on babies. When I adopted the twins, he sent a check for $5,000 and a card that said, "Congratulations, no visit for 3 months." When I got divorced, he asked if I was sure I could handle 2 kids alone. Caleb, meanwhile, got a down payment for his house, a job in the family business, and a $50,000 bonus when each of his kids was born. That afternoon, I drove back to Indian Hill. Dad wasn't home, he was at his office in Dayton. I let myself in with my key. I wasn't sure what I was looking for. Proof that my mom had wanted something different. A letter? Anything. I went up to the attic, where Mom kept her things. After she died, Dad had packed everything into plastic totes, labeled Diane in Sharpie. I hadn't had the heart to go through them. I opened the first tote. Photo albums. Christmas ornaments. Her nursing scrubs from when she worked at Miami Valley Hospital. The second tote had files. Old tax returns. Recipes. And at the bottom, a small fireproof lockbox I didn't recognize. It wasn't labeled, it was locked, but the key was taped to the bottom, "Classic Mom." Inside, there was a stack of letters, bundled with a ribbon. And a 23andMe DNA kit. Unopened. Expired in 2021. The top letter was in my mom's handwriting. Dated June 14, 2019, 3 months before she died. "My dearest Megan," it started. "If you're reading this, I'm gone, and your father is being Richard. Stubborn, principled, and wrong. I didn't have the strength to fight him while I was sick, but I need you to know the truth. Open the DNA kit. Test yourself and test the twins. Not because I doubt who they are to you, they are your children in every way that matters. But because there is something about our family your father has hidden for 40 years, and it's the only thing that will protect Lily and Ethan when he tries to do what I know he's going to do. There is a reason he is so obsessed with blood. It's not principle. It's fear. I love you. Take care of my babies." Mom, my hands were shaking so hard I almost dropped the letter. A DNA kit. For me and the twins. Hidden for 3 years. Downstairs, I heard the front door open. Dad was home early. "Megan? Is that your car?" he called up. I shoved the letter and the DNA kit into my purse, closed the lockbox, and put it back exactly as I'd found it. I walked downstairs, my heart hammering against my ribs. Dad was standing in the kitchen, holding the folder Henderson had given me last night. "The disinheritance papers. You forgot these," he said. "I need them signed as a witness that you were notified. It's procedure." I looked at him. This man who taught me to ride a bike, who walked me down the aisle at my first wedding, who now was trying to erase my children from our family tree. And I thought about my mother's letter. About fear. About blood. "Fine," I said, taking the folder. "I'll sign." "But Dad." "What? Are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure you know what blood really means in this family?" He frowned. "What's that supposed to mean?" I smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. "Nothing. Yet." I left with the DNA kit burning a hole in my purse, and the knowledge that my mother, who never lied to me a day in her life, had left me a weapon. Dad thought he was protecting a legacy. He had no idea he was about to lose everything. Because tomorrow, I was going to spit in a tube. And so were Lily and Ethan. And whatever secret my father had been hiding for 40 years was about to come out. And it was going to change who got the $1.2 million. And the $4.7 million. And the house. And everything else. I didn't sleep that night. I sat at my kitchen island in Dublin, Ohio, with my mom's letter spread flat under the pendant light, and that expired 23andMe kit in front of me like it was a bomb. "Take care of my babies, no matter what your father says." She knew. 3 years ago, dying of ovarian cancer at Ohio Health Riverside, my mother knew my dad was going to try to cut Lily and Ethan out. And she'd left me away to fight back. But why a DNA test? The twins were adopted. We all knew that. I'd flown to Cleveland, to the adoption agency on Euclid Avenue, and held them when they were 18 hours old. Their birth mother was a 19-year-old girl named Sarah Monroe, who'd written in her file that she couldn't afford 2 babies and wanted them to have a stable home. Closed adoption. No contact. There was no blood tie. So what was my mom talking about? At 6 a.m., I ordered 3 new Ancestry DNA kits on Amazon Prime. They'd be here tomorrow. I told Lily and Ethan it was a graduation gift. Let's see where we all come from, could be fun. Ethan rolled his eyes, but agreed. Lily, who loves anything science, was immediately in. While we waited, my dad kept calling. 3 times on Tuesday. Twice on Wednesday. I let them all go to voicemail. Megan, it's Dad. Henderson needs those acknowledgement papers back. It's just procedure. Megan, don't be dramatic. This is business. The 3rd one on Thursday night. Your mother would want you to be reasonable. That one made me delete the voicemail and throw my phone across the couch. On Friday, the kits arrived. We did the spit tubes at the kitchen table, laughing because Ethan couldn't produce enough saliva and Lily was coaching him like a nurse, which she wants to become, following me. I labeled them carefully: Megan Carter, Lily Carter, Ethan Carter. I mailed them from the USPS on Sawmill Road that afternoon. Then I went back to Indian Hill. Dad was at work. I used my key again and went straight to the attic. I needed more than that one letter. I spent 4 hours going through my mom's totes. In the 3rd box, under her wedding dress, I found a manila envelope with my name on it in her handwriting. Inside were more letters, a few photos, and a hospital bracelet. The first photo stopped my heart. It was a girl, maybe 18 or 19, holding newborn twins in a hospital bed. She had dark curly hair, freckles across her nose, and Lily's exact smile. Not similar, exact. On the back, in my mom's writing, Sarah M. Mt. Carmel East, November 14, 2005. She asked for you. My twins were born November 14, 2005, at Mt. Carmel East in Columbus. The second photo was older, faded. My dad, maybe 30 years old, with his arm around a woman who was not my mother. She was blonde, wearing a Dayton Dragons t-shirt. On the back, Patricia, 1983. R. Never told. The hospital bracelet read, Monroe, Sarah. D.O.B., June 2, 1984. Sarah Monroe. Born June 1984. My dad's photo with Patricia from 1983. My hands went numb. I did the math. 1983 affair. Baby born June 1984. That baby would be 21 in 2005 when she had twins. My father had a secret daughter. And that daughter had given up her twins for adoption. To me. I sat on the attic floor of my childhood home and cried for an hour. Not pretty crying, ugly, gasping sobs. My mother had known. She'd known for probably 18 years that the babies I was adopting were her husband's biological grandchildren. She'd watched me bring them home, watched Dad hold them as infants, and she'd said nothing. Because she was protecting me. And protecting them. The letters confirmed it. My mom had found out in 2006, a year after the adoption, when Sarah Monroe died in a car accident on I-70 near Springfield. Sarah's mother, Patricia, had contacted my dad for family medical history for the babies. Dad had confessed everything to Mom then. Mom wrote, Richard begged me not to tell you. He was terrified you'd hate him, terrified Caleb would find out he has a half-sister. I agreed to keep his secret, but only if he promised me one thing, that he would always treat Lily and Ethan as his own blood grandchildren. Because they are. He promised me, Megan. On my deathbed, he promised again. He'd lied to a dying woman. I drove home with the photos in my purse, feeling like I was going to throw up. The DNA results came back 3 weeks later, the longest 3 weeks of my life. I got the email at work, on my lunch break at Nationwide Children's. Your ancestry DNA results are ready. I locked myself in the staff bathroom and opened the app. Megan Carter, 50% Richard Whittaker, father, 50% Diane Whittaker, mother, so I was his. No surprise there. Lily Carter, close family match, Ethan Carter, twin brother, 2,498 cm, close family match, Richard Whittaker, grandfather, 1,782 cm, close family match, Caleb Whittaker, uncle, 1,765 cm, close family match, Megan Carter, aunt, 1,734 cm. I read it 3 times. Aunt, not mother. The test listed me as her aunt. Ethan's was identical. Grandfather. Richard Whittaker was listed as their grandfather, with 25% shared DNA. Exactly what you'd expect for a biological grandparent. My twins, my adopted twins, were my father's biological grandchildren. Sarah Monroe, their birth mother, was my half-sister. My dad's secret daughter from his 1983 affair with Patricia. I called Henderson from the parking lot. I was shaking so hard I could barely hold the phone. Mr. Henderson, I need to see my father's original trust documents. And I need to see anything related to a Patricia Monroe or Sarah Monroe. There was a long pause. Megan, how do you know that name? Because my mother left me letters. And because I just got DNA proof that my dad tried to disinherit his own biological grandchildren. Henderson sighed. It was the sigh of a man who's been holding a secret for 20 years. Come to my office in Cincinnati tomorrow. 9 a.m. Bring the results. I didn't sleep that night. Lily and Ethan were at a friend's house. I sat at my kitchen table with the photos spread out, and I finally understood my father's obsession with blood. It wasn't principle. It was panic. He'd spent 40 years hiding Sarah. He'd paid Patricia child support quietly through the business for 18 years. When Sarah got pregnant at 19, she'd called him scared. He'd told her he couldn't help publicly. She'd given the babies up. Then, by some cosmic joke, those babies had come to me, his legitimate daughter, through a Cleveland adoption agency. Mom had figured it out. She'd put it together when she saw the birth dates, when she met Sarah once at a hospital fundraiser in 2005. She'd never told me because she knew it would destroy our family. But she'd made Dad promise to protect those kids. And now, with Mom gone 3 years, he was trying to erase his mistake. To rewrite history. To take the $1.2 million education fund, and the rest of the $4.7 million estate, and give it only to Caleb's pure bloodline, pretending Lily and Ethan were strangers. He wasn't protecting legacy. He was covering up an affair. The next morning, I walked into Henderson's office on 4th Street in downtown Cincinnati, with a folder thick enough to be a weapon. Henderson looked older than I remembered. He closed the door. Your mother made me promise, he said before I could speak. In 2019, before she died, she made me copy everything. She said if Richard ever tried to cut those kids out, I was to give it to you. He slid a file across the desk. Inside was a paternity test from 1984, Richard Whittaker, 99.98% probability father of Sarah Monroe. Child support agreements. Letters from Patricia. And a handwritten note from my dad to my mom, dated 2006. Diane, I'll do anything. Please don't tell Megan. I'll treat them like my own, I swear. Just don't let Caleb find out. R. I looked up at Henderson, tears streaming down my face. He tried to disinherit his own grandchildren. He's scared, Henderson said quietly. Caleb doesn't know he has a half-sister. If this comes out in probate with the DNA, Caleb could contest the whole trust. Richard could lose control of the company. He's trying to clean it up before he dies. By stealing from two 18-year-olds? By pretending they were never his. I drove straight to Indian Hill. Dad was in his study, reading the Wall Street Journal. He looked up, surprised. "Megan, did you bring the papers?" I didn't answer. I laid the DNA results on his desk. Then the 1984 paternity test. Then the photo of him with Patricia. Then the photo of Sarah holding Lily and Ethan in the hospital. His face went white, then gray. He gripped the arms of his chair. "Where did you get these?" "Mom left them for me. She knew you'd do this." He didn't deny it. He just stared at the DNA match that said grandfather, 1782 cm. "They're yours," I said, my voice breaking. "They have your DNA. They have your eyes. Ethan has your eyes, Dad. How could you look at him for 18 years and plan to cut him out?" He put his head in his hands. For the first time in my life, my strong, controlled, real estate mogul father was crying. "I was 29, he whispered. "It was before you were born. One mistake. Patricia said she'd handle it. Then in 2005, she calls me and says Sarah's pregnant with twins and she's giving them up. I told her to make sure they went to a good home. I didn't know it was you. I swear to God, Megan, I didn't know the agency would place them with you until your mother told me you'd been matched. Mom knew. Your mother figured it out the day you brought them home from the hospital. She took one look at Lily and saw Patricia's nose. She confronted me that night. She made me promise. And you promised her on her deathbed you'd protect them." He nodded, tears running down his face. "And then she died, and I got scared. Caleb's been asking about the business succession. If he finds out about Sarah, about the twins, he could sue for a bigger share. He could say I hid assets. The whole company. I don't care about the company." I shouted. "I care about my kids. Your grandchildren. You were going to let them go to college thinking you didn't love them because they weren't blood, when they are your blood." He looked up at me, devastated. "What do you want me to do?" I picked up the disinheritance papers he'd wanted me to sign. I tore them in half, then in quarters. I let the pieces fall on his expensive Persian rug. "I want you to fix it. I want you to put Lily and Ethan back in that trust, with double what you were going to give Caleb's kids. I want you to tell Caleb the truth. And I want you to look my children in the eye and tell them why you almost threw them away. Megan, if I tell Caleb, if you don't tell Caleb, I will. And I'll do it with a lawyer and a DNA test and a press release to the Dayton Business Journal. Your choice." I walked out of his study, leaving him surrounded by the proof of his 40-year lie. In my car, I finally let myself breathe. My phone buzzed. It was Lily. "Mom, where are you?" "Ethan and I got our OSU housing assignments. We're in the same dorm." I smiled through tears. My babies. My father's biological grandchildren. My half-sister's children, whom I'd raised as my own. They had no idea their whole identity was about to change. And neither did Caleb. Because part 3 is where the family explodes, and where I find out that my dad wasn't the only one hiding DNA secrets. I didn't tell Lily and Ethan right away. They were too happy. OSU housing assignments, orientation dates, buying twin XL sheets at Target on Olentangy River Road. How do you tell your 18-year-olds, hey, surprise, the grandfather who just tried to disinherit you is actually your biological grandfather, and your birth mom was his secret daughter who died? You don't. Not yet. I told them half the truth that night over pizza. Papa's going through some stuff. He's changing the trust back. You guys are going to be taken care of. Ethan, my logical one, frowned. Why the sudden change? Last week he said we weren't blood. Because, I said carefully, sometimes adults realize they were wrong about what family means. Lily reached across the table and squeezed my hand. Mom, we don't need his money. We have you. That almost broke me. The next morning, my brother Caleb called. Not texted, called. Which he never does. Megan, what the hell did you do to Dad? His voice was tight. I could hear his kids screaming in the background at his house in Mason, Ohio. What do you mean? He's at Miami Valley Hospital. Chest pains. Mom, I mean, Jenna found him on the floor of his study last night. He's stable, but the doctor said it was stress-induced. He keeps asking for you. My stomach dropped. I drove to Dayton in 70 minutes, breaking the speed limit on I-71 the whole way. Dad was in a private room, hooked up to monitors, looking smaller than I'd ever seen him. At 71, Richard Whittaker had always been invincible, the man who built a commercial real estate empire from nothing, who still played tennis twice a week at the Cincinnati Country Club. Now he looked old. Caleb was standing by the window, arms crossed. Jenna was in the corner, scrolling her phone. Nice of you to show up, Caleb said. I ignored him and went to Dad's bedside. Dad. He opened his eyes. You told him, didn't you? No, I whispered. Not yet. Caleb stepped forward. Told me what? This was it. The moment my mother had spent 18 years trying to prevent. I looked at my brother, the golden child, the one who got the job, the house down payment, the trust fund for his kids Madison and Tyler. The one Dad wanted to give everything to because he was blood. Dad had an affair in 1983, I said quietly. Before I was born. The woman's name was Patricia Monroe. They had a daughter. Sarah. Jenna's head snapped up. Sarah Monroe was Lily and Ethan's birth mother, I continued. She died in 2006. Dad is their biological grandfather. Which means you, Caleb. You're their biological uncle. The heart monitor beeped faster. Dad closed his eyes. Caleb stared at me, then at Dad, then back at me. That's bullshit. You're lying because you're mad about the trust. I pulled the DNA results from my purse, the ancestry printouts showing Richard Whittaker, grandfather, 1782 cm, and handed them to him. He read them. Twice. His hands started to shake. Dad. His voice cracked. Is this true? Dad didn't open his eyes. He just nodded, once. Jenna stood up. Caleb, we need to talk to a lawyer. If those kids are legally his grandchildren, they have a claim. Madison and Tyler's education fund. Are you kidding me right now? I snapped. My kids almost lost everything and you're worried about your kids' fund? Your kids were adopted. Jenna shouted. They're not, they are his blood. I shouted back, and a nurse poked her head in. They are more his blood than you think. Caleb held up a hand. Everybody stop. He looked at Dad. How long have you known? Since 2005, Dad whispered. Your mother found out. She made me promise to protect them. And you were going to cut them out anyway? Caleb's voice rose. After Mom made you promise? I was trying to protect you. Dad suddenly yelled, then winced at the pain in his chest. If this comes out, if anyone tests, the whole estate could be contested. Patricia could come back. Sarah's family, Patricia's dead, I said. She died in 2020. I checked. There's no one left except us. Caleb sat down heavily in the chair. So let me get this straight. My niece and nephew, who I've known for 18 years, are actually my half-niece and nephew, because Dad cheated on Mom 40 years ago. And you were going to disinherit them to keep it quiet. Dad said nothing. Caleb looked at me. What do you want, Megan? I want what Mom wanted. Lily and Ethan back in the trust. Equal share. And I want Dad to tell them the truth himself. Fine, Caleb said. Do it. I don't care about the money. Jenna grabbed his arm. Caleb, that's $600,000 per kid. I said I don't care, he snapped, pulling away. Their family. For the first time in years, I felt something like respect for my brother. Dad was released 2 days later. Henderson came to the house in Indian Hill with new paperwork. This time, the amendment didn't remove Lily and Ethan. It added them back, with a specific clause, to my grandchildren Lily Carter and Ethan Carter, biological grandchildren via my late daughter Sarah Monroe. I bequeath the sum of $1.2 million to be split equally for education, plus an equal share of the residual estate. Dad signed it in front of me, Caleb, and a notary. His hand shook. I thought it was over. It wasn't. A week later, I went back to Mom's attic to return the lockbox. I wanted everything put back exactly as she'd left it. That's when I found the second box, smaller, metal, hidden under insulation. No label. Just a key taped to it, same as before. Inside was a single envelope, addressed to me in Mom's shaky, end-of-life handwriting. Megan, only open if Richard betrays his promise. Mom, my blood ran cold. I opened it at my kitchen table, with a glass of wine I didn't drink. My sweet girl, if you're reading this, your father did what I feared he would. I'm sorry. I tried to protect you from this, but you deserve the whole truth. Richard is not the only one who kept a secret. In the summer of 1988, before Caleb was born, Richard and I were separated for 3 months. He was in Dayton building the business. I was lonely and angry. I had a brief relationship with someone you know, Michael Davies, from church. It ended, Richard and I reconciled, and I found out I was pregnant with Caleb. I never told Richard. I never told Michael. Caleb was raised as a Whitaker, and Richard loves him as his son. But biologically, Caleb is not Richard's. I kept a lock of Caleb's baby hair in this box, and Michael's DNA is on file at the Dayton clinic where he donates blood. If you ever need leverage, if Richard tries to use blood as a weapon against your children, you can prove that his golden child isn't his blood at all. I pray you never need this. I pray you burn this letter. But a mother protects her babies, no matter what. All my love, Mom. I read it 4 times. The room spun. Caleb, my brother, Dad's pride and joy, the heir to the Whitaker empire, was not Dad's biological son. My father had spent 40 years obsessing over bloodline, trying to disinherit my twins for not being real grandchildren, while his chosen heir wasn't his blood at all. And my mother, the saintly Diane who everyone thought was the perfect wife, had taken the secret to her grave, leaving me the key to blow up the entire family. I called Henderson at 10 p.m. He answered on the second ring. Megan? Everything okay? No, I said. I need to know something. Under Ohio law, if a child is raised as your own for 34 years, but isn't biologically yours, can he still inherit? A long pause. Yes. Under Ohio's equitable adoption and presumption of parentage, Caleb is legally his son. But, if Richard knew and never told him, and if there's proof of fraud, it could complicate things. Especially if Caleb tried to contest the trust based on blood. Why? I stared at the lock of baby hair in the plastic bag. Light brown, just like Caleb's. Because my mother just handed me a nuclear bomb from beyond the grave. The next day, Caleb called me frantic. Megan, Dad's lawyer called. He's moving up the trust distribution. He wants to give Lily and Ethan their education money now, before college starts. And he's adding them as equal beneficiaries to the main estate. What's going on? I was standing in my backyard, watching Lily and Ethan throw a football. They looked so carefree. So innocent. Dad's doing the right thing, I said. Yeah, but Jen is freaking out. She thinks you're going to sue for more. Are you? I thought about the letter in my safe. About Michael Davies, who still ushers at St. Margaret's in Dayton every Sunday, who has Caleb's same crooked smile. About my dad, who built his whole identity on legacy and blood. No, I said. I'm not going to sue. Thank God, Caleb breathed. But Caleb, there's something else you need to know. About Mom. About Dad. About why he's so scared. What? I closed my eyes. I could destroy him right now. I could tell him he's not a Whitaker by blood, just like he'd tried to say about my kids. I could watch his world collapse the way mine almost did. Or I could be better than my father. Never mind, I said. Just Be good to Lily and Ethan, okay? They're family. Real family. I will, he promised. I swear. I hung up and looked at the letter again. At my mother's final gift, not just protection for my twins, but the power to decide what kind of family we would be. Dad called an hour later. Henderson said you called about parentage law. Yeah. Megan, what did your mother leave you? The truth, I said. All of it. He was quiet for a long time. Are you going to use it? I watched Ethan tackle Lily into the grass, both of them laughing. My children. His grandchildren. My brother's niece and nephew. That depends, I said. Are you going to keep your promise this time? Yes. Then no. The secret dies with me. But Dad, if you ever make my kids feel like they're less than again, I will burn this whole legacy to the ground. And I'll start with the DNA test that proves Caleb isn't yours. He gasped. You know, Mom told me. From the grave. She protected all of us, even you. He started crying again. The second time in a week. I'm sorry, Megan. I'm so sorry. Sorry doesn't pay for college, I said. But the trust does. Make sure Henderson files it tomorrow. He did. I waited until move-in day at Ohio State. It felt right, a new beginning. Lily and Ethan's dorm was on North Campus, Scott House, room 412. We'd rented a U-Haul from the Dublin location, packed it with Target bedding, mini fridges, and 18 years of memories. Dad insisted on coming. He showed up at my house at 7 a.m. in his old pickup, not the Mercedes, wearing jeans and a Buckeyes t-shirt. I thought I could help carry, he said, awkwardly. Ethan looked at me surprised. Lily just smiled. Thanks, Papa. Papa. She hadn't called him that since she was 12. We drove in convoy to Columbus. Dad and I in his truck, twins following in my Honda. On the way, I told him my plan. I'm telling them today. After we're done unpacking. They deserve to know before someone else tells them. He gripped the steering wheel tighter. Do you have to? Yes. Because I'm their mother. And because you don't get to decide what parts of their story they know anymore. He nodded, staring straight ahead at I-71. You're right. We spent 3 hours hauling boxes up 4 flights. The elevator was broken, and by noon, the room looked like a real dorm room. Lily had put up photos of our family on her desk. Ethan had hung his Upper Arlington varsity jacket on the back of the door. We went to lunch at the Ohio Union, just the 4 of us. Dad paid. Over burgers, I took a deep breath. Lily, Ethan, there's something Papa and I need to tell you. About your adoption. About our family. Ethan put his burger down. Lily reached for his hand automatically. The twin thing they've always done. I told them everything. Not the angry version, the true version. About Dad's affair in 1983 with Patricia Monroe. About their birth mother Sarah, who was Dad's secret daughter. About how Sarah got pregnant at 19, how she chose adoption, how she died in a car accident on I-70 in 2006, when they were 6 months old. About how Mom figured it out and made Dad promise to protect them. About the DNA test. About the trust. I showed them the photos, Sarah holding them in the hospital. Dad with Patricia in 1983. They were quiet for a long time. Too quiet. Lily was crying silently, tears running down her face. Ethan was staring at Dad like he'd never seen him before. So, you're actually our biological grandfather, Ethan said finally. His voice was flat. Dad nodded, his own eyes wet. Yes. And you knew, Lily whispered. All these years, you knew we were your blood, and you still tried to cut us out at graduation. Dad flinched like she'd slapped him. I was scared. I was stupid. I was trying to protect a secret that didn't deserve protecting. Your grandmother, Diane, she loved you both so much. She made me promise. And I broke that promise, because I was a coward. Why didn't you just tell us? Ethan asked. We wouldn't have cared. We would have. I don't know, we would have understood. Would you? Dad asked. At 12? At 15? When you were already wondering why Papa didn't come to your soccer games as much as he went to Madison and Tyler's. Lily wiped her eyes. We noticed. I know, Dad said. And I'm going to spend the rest of my life making it up to you. If you'll let me. Ethan looked at me. Mom? Did you know? When you adopted us? No, baby. I swear. I didn't find out until 3 weeks ago, when I found Grandma's letters. I adopted you because I wanted you. Not because of DNA. That part, that was just fate, I guess. Lily stood up and walked around the table. She hugged Dad first. Hard. He broke down completely, sobbing into her shoulder in the middle of the Ohio Union food court, while students stared. Then she hugged me. Ethan was slower. He stood, looked at Dad for a long moment, then extended his hand. Dad took it, then pulled him into a hug too. Don't do it again, Ethan said quietly. Don't choose someone else over us again. I won't, Dad promised. Never again. We walked back to the dorm in silence. But it was a better silence. That night, after the twins were settled and Dad had driven back to Cincinnati, I got a call from the adoption agency in Cleveland, Adoption Network Cleveland on Euclid Avenue, where I'd first held Lily and Ethan 18 years ago. Ms. Carter? This is Jennifer. You requested the non-identifying information and any letters on file for the Monroe twins. We found something. Sarah Monroe left a letter to be given to the children on their 18th birthday. We tried to contact you last November, but your address had changed. My heart stopped. I never got it. We can overnight it. Or you can pick it up. I drove to Cleveland the next morning. 3 hours up I-71, my hands shaking on the wheel the whole way. Jennifer met me in a small conference room. She handed me a sealed envelope, yellowed with age. On the front, in looping teenage handwriting, to my babies, Lily and Ethan, on your 18th birthday. Love, Mom. I didn't open it. It wasn't mine to open. I drove straight back to Columbus and knocked on their dorm door. They were both there, studying already, of course they were. I have something for you, I said, and handed Lily the envelope. They opened it together, sitting on Lily's twin XL bed. Inside was 2 pages, handwritten. My dearest babies, if you're reading this, you're 18, and I hope you're happy. I hope your mom, Megan. I saw her at the hospital. She was volunteering in the NICU. She had the kindest eyes. I hope she gave you the life I couldn't. I'm writing this at 3 a.m., the night before you were born. I'm 19, I'm scared, and I know I can't keep you. Not because I don't love you, God. I love you so much already, but because I have nothing. No job, no apartment. Your biological father left when I told him. I want you to have everything. I want to tell you about me, so you know where you come from. My name is Sarah Monroe. My mom is Patricia. My dad is a man named Richard Whitaker. He doesn't know about you yet. I only found him 2 years ago. He's married, he has a family, and he's not a bad man, just a scared one. I don't want you to hate him. I think, maybe, if you ever meet him, you'll understand. I'm sick. I have a heart condition. The doctors say pregnancy is risky. That's another reason I'm choosing adoption. If something happens to me, I need to know you're safe. I picked your names. Lily, because my mom loves lilies. Ethan, because it means strong. Be strong for each other. I love you. I've loved you since the moment I saw you on the ultrasound. Being your mom for 9 months is the best thing I'll ever do. Please be happy. Please forgive me. All my love forever, Mom. Lily was sobbing openly now. Ethan had tears streaming down his face, but he was reading the letter again and again, like he was memorizing it. She knew, Lily whispered. She knew about Papa. She knew she was sick, Ethan said. She died 6 months later. In the car accident. Maybe it was her heart. I held them both while they cried for the mother they'd never known, and for the grandmother they'd just lost again. The next weekend, Dad hosted a family dinner at Indian Hill. Everyone was there, me, the twins, Caleb, Jenna, Madison, and Tyler. He'd hired a caterer, set up the big dining table my mom loved. Before dinner, he stood up. No wine glass tapping this time. Just him, standing, vulnerable. "I owe this family an apology," he started. "Especially Lily and Ethan. For 18 years, I've let fear drive my decisions. Fear of a mistake I made when I was 29. Fear of losing this family's respect. That fear almost made me lose the two most incredible grandchildren a man could ask for." He looked at the twins. "Lily, Ethan, you are my blood. You are my legacy. And you are Whitaker's, whether you carry the name or not. I've amended my trust. You will each receive an equal share, not just for education, but for your future. And I've added a clause that if anyone in this family ever tries to use blood as a reason to exclude someone again, they forfeit everything." He looked at Caleb. "That includes you, son." Caleb nodded, his arm around Jenna. Then Dad turned to me. "Megan, your mother was the best of us. She protected this family even when I wouldn't. She left you the tools to destroy me, and you chose to save us instead. Thank you." He pulled out a small velvet box. Inside was my mother's pearl necklace, the one she'd worn at my wedding. She wanted Lily to have this on her wedding day. I think she'd want her to have it now. Lily cried again. Ethan hugged Dad again. After dinner, Caleb found me on the back porch by the pool. "Hey," he said. "Can we talk?" "Sure." He sat down next to me. "Dad told me about the DNA. About Sarah. About everything." "Okay. Did she ever say anything to you about me? About whether I'm, you know?" My heart stopped. "Did he know?" "What do you mean?" I asked carefully. He looked out at the pool. "I've always felt different. Dad and I don't look alike. We don't think alike." And after hearing about Sarah, I started wondering, if he could hide one kid, could he? I thought about the letter in my safe. About Michael Davies at church. About the lock of baby hair. About my mother's words. "I pray you burn this letter." I made a choice, the same choice my mother made 34 years ago. To protect. "Caleb," I said, taking his hand. "Dad is your dad. He raised you, he loves you. He chose you every day for 34 years. Blood doesn't make a father. Showing up does. And he's shown up for you. It wasn't a lie. It was the truth that mattered." He nodded, tears in his eyes. "Thanks, Meg. And thanks for not destroying us. You could have. After what Dad tried to do to your kids." "I learned from the best," I said, looking up at the stars. "Mom taught me that family isn't about who shares your DNA. It's about who shares your life." He hugged me. The first real hug we'd shared since we were kids. 2 months later, on a Tuesday in October, Henderson filed the final trust documents with the Hamilton County Probate Court. Lily and Ethan Carter, legal and biological grandchildren of Richard Whitaker, were named equal beneficiaries. Dad also did something else. He set up a scholarship at Nationwide Children's Hospital in Sarah Monroe's name, for young mothers who choose adoption. The first donation was $50,000. Anonymous, but I knew. Last week, Lily called me from OSU. "Mom, Papa's coming to our biology lab presentation tomorrow. He's bringing donuts for the whole class." I laughed. "That's very un-Richard-like." "I know," she said. "He's trying." Ethan texted me a photo later that night. Him and Dad at a Buckeyes game, both wearing matching jerseys, Dad's arm around his shoulders. The caption just said, "My grandpa." Not Papa. Grandpa. My mother was right. A DNA test did reveal the truth. It revealed that my twins were my father's blood. It revealed that my father was a flawed, scared man who made a terrible mistake. It revealed that my brother is my brother no matter what a test says. But mostly, it revealed what my mother knew all along, that family isn't built in a lab. It's built in hospital rooms at 3 a.m., in adoption agencies on Euclid Avenue, in dorm rooms at Ohio State, and in backyards in Dublin, Ohio, where a nurse who couldn't have babies chose to love two strangers' children with her whole heart. My dad tried to disinherit my twins because he thought they weren't his. The DNA proved they were. But I would have fought for them either way. Because they are mine. If you've ever had to choose between keeping the peace and protecting your kids, you know exactly how I felt. Hit the like button and comment "Family is a choice" below. I'd love to read your story. And make sure you're subscribed to Justice Served Tales, because next week I'm sharing the story of how my brother found out he wasn't the blood heir either, and what I decided to do about it. See you then.